Well, welcome back. This is episode two, and we are pumped. Uh, I'm so excited. You know that song that we just got to playing was sung by a great group. It was written by Joe Sample. It's called U-Turn, and it has a lot to do with my topic today, U-Turn. And just to kind of show one of the lyrics. It says, "Long trip, dull strip, seems to go nowhere. Long day, wrong way, never getting there. No more get up and go. Internal drive is low. It's just like filling up. The adrenaline gets you spinning when you turn. Toll road, been told, there's a price to pay. Keep straight or deviate. SOS, Mayday. Decision is the key. It's just like STP because every drop you add gives you extra kick. Down that yellow brick, you turn." And I love this part. It says, "So when you're feeling low, you need to undergo a simple change of heart. Put some latitude in your attitude. Don't be concerned with yesterday. You've got to make a beeline for tomorrow. Your heart will surely find a way. You'll learn to undo the heart burning when you turn." And I love that song. It's number one. Take Six does a great lick of that song. I mean, they got great jobs, but the message is really about turning your life around and finding purpose and meaning in it. So Booker Lee, he's the engineer, production manager, everything else underneath the sun. You can to help me out. So how's it going today?
Oh, it's a great day. Great day. Excited to be here. Definitely excited to learn some more from you and kind of find out what really inspired you to write the book.
Well, thank you. That's a good lead in because it's so true. I mean, this book, Leaving Your Life Imprint, is doing well, and if you want to get a copy, all you got to do is donate. Donate. Maybe I think we got 20 or 25 bucks up there, Booker, for somebody to make a donation, and we send a book. And if they give a little bit more, we've got actually a cup that we send too. But anyways, I'm excited about this podcast today. Very pumped up. It's a beautiful day here in Arrington, Tennessee. We're out in the middle of the country and God's country. And let me just tell you. So, what inspired me in this book? Um, well, I'll tell you what it was. To start with, there were several things. There's three things, but you got to get the book to get the other other ones. So the first reason really happened with um, me doing my will. My wife and I, we did our will, and when we got all the land settled out, and all the kids got it equally, the land, the property, all those things that my wife have worked our lives to accumulate. And as great as that was, we put all that down, and it was really a kind of a breath of fresh air to say, okay, that's done. We don't have to worry about that. And then as I started home, that real you know evolution of feelings, which was okay, I finally done this. That lasted about 10 minutes on the ride home. I kept reminding myself, well, how great this is to get this done, blah blah blah. And then like a U-turn, um, I wanted to make it almost in the interstate and go back and go, wait a second, I'm missing something here. I'm missing something after all this, these goods and revenue and services that we provided, and it's come onto some great income, and we've been able to provide well for our family. Is that really all I have? And so that real evolution of of feelings started to dissipate like a balloon, and I thought, wow, what more is missing? And then it hit me um, a few days later. I just thinking about what's missing, and I thought my family doesn't really have my story, and worse yet, I don't know my whole story of my family heritage. And it was just an eye-opening experience for me, and it caused me a lot of sleepless nights. To be honest with you, one night I'll give you an example. I don't know if you've ever done this, but maybe this is a midlife thing. But you know, have you ever kind of like been sleeping and all of a sudden you wake up and you go, oh wait, I feel my body. You know, every am I alive? you know? And I thought I got to put my feet down and make sure I'm not dreaming. You know, it's like, am I still alive? You know, and I think that whole feeling of I got to know more about my family and more about my story. I don't want to leave this earth. And I think that's what was on my mind that night. I was like, what if I die and I don't have, I don't share my story about my family and I don't know my own. So it took me to a deep dive. And Booker, I'll just tell you that, and all the audience listening, it caused me to have all those alarm bells go off. Okay, let's start finding out. And over the next year and a half, 2 years, whatever, I ended up spending a lot of time finding out about my family. And I had no idea the great story that would start to come alive. All the people, from 1707 up to, the current time, just so many great stories that I was able to find. And I thought, wow. And so, that ended up with Kleenex because I would cry, I'd laugh. Just so many great things that I experienced in terms of feelings to go, wow, I finally am finding out the missing treasures of my life. And it changed me. It changed me to the point where I actually, before the book came out, I went and took a trip to Germany and saw where my six-time great grandfather actually lived. And his story is amazing. I'll have to save it to you. But to make a long story short, he came over to America. Left. He was born in 1707 there in Gießen, Germany, and then left in 1733. And that was an amazing trip to get over to America. And just to make a long story short, so his story, it just gripped me, and when I share it with you, I'm sure you'll feel the same way. It just so many tearful farewells to everyone he knew and everything, and his family, and I realized, what if he wouldn't have made it? you know, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't even be on this earth, and so all those amazing stories, I started to realize, and I started chronicling them, and realizing what found out the ship that he got on, and all those things. I say all that just to say that I wonder if this happened to me, how many other people out there that are listening, how many of you um, don't know the rest of your story, your heritage story, the good, bad, and ugly of it. I found that to be so true, and so I want to share with you my heart about why I want this is so important to you, not just me, but why this book, Leaving Your Life Imprint, is so important. Is that God has a purpose for every one of our lives, and I was thinking about this morning. Uh, when you stop and think about it, there are two things in life, two very important things that we need, just like food and water. Our soul needs two things, and that's um, number one, significance. Define significance, and the second thing is intimacy. Two very important things that if we're going to be in this earth, just like food and water, you can't live without them. You can't live out your life without finding significance and intimacy, and feel it unfulfilled if you don't have those two. And so, obviously, significance was what I found. I was finding my significance, and I was actually being able to say, okay, through these Kleenex and laughters and tears and moments of sadness and gladness, I realized for the first time I was finding significance in my heritage and realizing that um, it needed to be at minimum expressed to my family, but could it be an inspirational book for others that are wanting to find significance and intimacy in their own life, mainly significance? Um, so, so let's talk about that. Take your finger. I do this when I do talks. When people have asked me to come speak, take your little finger, your index finger, and point it towards your face and look at it. If you don't think you're significant, think about this. God made your fingerprint different than any others in the entire world. Think about that. You, as a person, God loved you enough that He made an imprint on your in your finger that that's like none other. And so I was able to, look at that. That we are awesome and wonderfully made. And then I looked at, in the issue of why do we wait so long to find out our story? Why do we? And I think I found one of the things as a counselor is we tend to minimize our story. We tend to minimize our significance because we live in a world that seems to honor and have prestige in people that have been successful with money or fame or whatever you want to call that. But we don't take enough time to really honor and look at our heritage. And I think that's one thing God wants us to realize. We were wonderfully made individually as a person. All our coolness, our uncoolness, all our looks or unlooks. Everything. You should never look just at the fleshly part of your life. You have a deeper inner part within yourself that God cherishes, and you need to cherish that too. And so there it is. Look at your finger. If you need a reminder, God made you a one of a kind person. It's very special that no one else has. So that's one of the things. And so I also ran across a scripture during this time, Psalms 90, 20, and 12. And it's I love this. It's basically says teach us to number our days. What do you mean teach us to number our days? Well, you stop and think about it. Sometimes we get in that like the song YouTube, you turn. It's on YouTube, by the way. But the song U Turn is basically saying, are you doing the same thing like you did? And you're feeling mundane after mundane. I've got the same thing going every day, and I don't see any significance in what I'm doing or what if you come across that, maybe that's your time to look at a U turn, in your life and just say, maybe I need to do a 180 and I need to look at and see what is my purpose and think of it. And I think it starts with story. I think it starts with identifying with your heritage and realize that God made you for maybe it's a redemptive, maybe your family story is very sad, but guess what? You can use that to say, I'm going to change the chapters of my life story from what they, originated from. So God takes us, He molds us, He makes us if we'll allow Him, and we find that significance every day. So that's what started the book. Is I found like there's got to be more than materialism and more than passing something down to my kids, my family, than material things. And so I say that as an encouragement to you. There is no better time to start your story, by the way, until this light clicks on with that epiphany says, I need to know more about my life and my story. And you can start that at 10 years old, 20, 30, 40. For me, it started in my 50s. And so I think people should not wait. And I've done way too many funerals where I've learned so many great things, golden nuggets about a person's life. And I don't think that's the time. I think we should We should celebrate life, every moment of it, and learn from it. And so I hope in some way this will encourage you, this podcast, to really start thinking about what is it in my life that I really need to look at and really hone in on and find out what is significant and what is not. It's not just what's significant, and what I say is what's not. Is that sometimes, if you say, well, I watched 10,000 movies. Well, I mean that's great, and in one way that you've learned a lot to share a lot of classic movies, but at this another time, could that be a waste of time eventually if you're not spending some time studying about what really matters, and that is your story and how you relate that story every day in your life, and how you um, it can make your self-worth and your understanding of purpose mean and matter so much more. So yeah, these podcasts are going to be about really about what matters, what makes sense, what is the things in life that really matter. And this episode is really important. You stop and think about the great Anne Frank. um, why was her life so significant? Do you know if Anne Frank had not done a diary, we would not have known much about her story? And so realize that the written word and telling about your story is so significant. And you can go through the whole things of, Rick Warren, his stuff, purpose driven life. What he wrote down that book, and it, sold, I don't know how many copies, but he took all that money and he said, I don't need the church to give me my salary anymore. I found my purpose and significance, and guess what? I'm sharing it with other people, and I don't know how many millions and millions of copies were sold of that. But bottom line is, it changed people's lives because he found purpose and meaning, and it clicked with other people. And that's what the book that I've written, Leaving Your Life Imprint's about. It's about leaving something that matters with your kids, your friends, your coworkers. And I know most of the great businesses have a great story. And regardless of what your marriage, if you really care about your marriage, you'll get help for it. Obviously, we all have times in our marriage where we need some help, just third party to kind of help work through things. And I've been able to God's blessed me to be on the other side of that couch to kind of help people see significance in their marriage, or maybe it's in their children. Um, whatever it is, we need to take time, step back, and enjoy finding that golden nugget and treasures in life that make us feel significant. And then you look at Paul Harvey. What a great guy. He he had that great one line. And now the rest of the story, right? Towards the end of his podcast, or his radio. He wasn't podcasting. He was doing radio, and he's such a great orator. But he made his whole life and purpose about sharing people's story. And when as these podcasts continue, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to find people that are really, you're really interested in learning and hearing from, and then applying some of those principles that they've learned that made them really significant uh, in life. And I found out most of those people are well read, and they're also people that are well versed in telling their story. And so we'll look forward to sharing interviews with them. But yeah, Paul Harvey's one of those guys that you definitely wanna learn from. He found meaning in his life every day by telling other stories. And then he'd say, the reason why he said, now the rest of the story is it's somebody that we all knew, but we didn't know the back end of their story, and that's what made them significant. So as I'm going through my book, and I'm sharing with people, I look at the idea of when I went to Italy, for instance, like when I went to Italy, I it was the same. My wife and I were celebrating our 35th wedding anniversary, and what we found from that really great trip was when we would go visit in Italy, we'd go visit some of these really significant vineyards, wine vineyards, and one was very interesting. I was listening to this gentleman who was sharing about this particular vineyard. It had been not just in the 1700s and the 1600s and the 1500s, but had gone all the way back, a long, long time about how this family, this vineyard meant so much to them, and the stories of how this person just kept passing down with his family this great bottle of wine, but all the stories that represented, that vineyard, and how he traveled around the world sharing. And this was the original founder, and he, so when I think about America, America's over 200 plus years old, but some of these places are, thousands of years old. And you stop and think about it, what was so significant about the wine was not the wine, it was the story behind the wine. It was the story behind how it began from a little seed, um, and it grew. And then they grew another roll and another roll. And the stories behind the marriages and the families who helped cultivate and keep that great vineyard. Now they would use their feet to smash the grapes, and uh, just all the great stories of significance. And I want to encourage all of you that are listening that you should never give up on your story. Never, never give up on your story. So I say all that to say, I love those sayings like to thine own self be true. We live in a world today where a lot of our kids are experiencing some of the most deepest heartaches through the virus, through drugs, alcohol, and I think the biggest thing we can do as parents and as people who care about kids, care about our loved ones, is just kind of share that story. Be true to yourself. Don't just because uh, your fellow classmates or people out in the world that want to have influence on you. Make sure that one pill that they're taking, or and they wanted you to take it with them, have the wherewithal to say, I'm going to be true to myself. I don't need that. You I'm going to be true to myself. I don't need to go to that particular party. That's not a party to me. It's destructive. You know, uh, there's other ways to have joy and friendship than to, you know, not be true to myself and make a mistake that may impact my life forever. So this whole thing of fentanyl, yeah, I'm talking right at it. We need to, as a country, our families are under attack in so many ways. And so what's going to keep a strong family is story. And what's going to keep a strong story is what matters. And that's staying together as a family and learning and growing together. Going to church, finding that Christ is ultimately, he's got that finger he gave us and fingers and thumb to really show that he has purpose and meaning. It's just a constant reminder if you look at that little finger and go, you know what? God made me special. I need to find out what that significant part is. So as I'm closing, I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of the song because U Turn is like it's a very valuable song to me because it talks about you don't have to be stuck. You don't have to be in a place where you're just living to work instead of working and working to live. Working to live is you wanting enough money to enjoy living, but you should never let your whole life be caught up in something that you don't feel is causing you any more significance. And my friend Dan Miller has a great book on that. 20 days to the day to the life you work you love. I think is the name of the book. And um, so definitely find out the tools and skills that you need to help you move if you are going to transition out of a career. Don't stay in something that keeps you locked into something where you feel like I can't go one more day in this job. And if it doesn't bring significance, start planning. I'm not saying quit your job tomorrow, but I'm saying plan for a different future. Make a U-turn. Um, so as we're closing, I want you to consider giving some gifts to for birthdays and that kind of thing. And it's giving through a donation. My son and I, we are involved in helping veterans, and we are in helping youth that have been their life have had little purpose and meaning, and we're helping them find purpose and meaning by giving them a home and helping them find a family. It's a lot of these folks, what for whatever reason, whether they're older or they have a disability of some significance, that they're in a handicap, they just need a little more help in terms of developing family and friends, um, because just because our busy lives, I think most of the nursing homes now, there are a lot of people are just dragged out there, left to do their lunch, their dinner, their breakfast. Our homes, we have they share Christmas, Thanksgiving, all these other things, and that's why we are encouraging people to give, is because we give you a great book, but we also give you that you're helping build story in these folks that have some really tough handicapped and um, are starting to lose memory and everything. So there we go. I have so enjoyed this time. Go to our website, kennymauck.org, kennymauck.net. Yes. Well, God bless. It's been a great day. I hope and pray you have an amazing afternoon, and we'll talk to you next Thursday. Talk to you later. Bye bye.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching the show. If you guys have any questions, or if you would like to donate and receive the book, please head on over to kennymauck.org/show. Here you can ask us any questions that you might have, as well as make a donation. Thank you so much for watching.